Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Michaela and I'm sorry for the noise, but my cat is being very active on his treadmill. He thinks it's time to work out. I'm going to do a new pattern with you today and I haven't named it yet. I know I'm a little bit lazy of naming them. It's just a last minute pattern naming, but I will explain you. It's a sporty pattern, can be as well used at the beach, obviously, as well to do sports, and has a nice V-shaped back and a very nice cutout part here. So that's my front piece, the main fabric and the lining, and I've got here the two back pieces, main fabrics and lining, and as well I have already cut my underbust band together with the elastic, which I am going to attach. The elastic, I just placed it on top of each other practically like this, and I did a straight stitch over to secure it. So let's start with the construction. Actually the top will have a construction for a change of a concealed seam. So what I'm going to do, I placed my main fabric on top of my lycra, on top of my lining, so lycra over the lining, and I am going to be pinning, I'm going to be pinning, let's just first explain it. I'm going to be pinning underarms over here, both underarms, all the neckline area and the little cutout. I will be leaving the sides, the lower part and the little shoulders unpinned, and I will be doing the same thing for my back pieces. I am going to be placing the lycra on top of the lining, and I am going to be pinning practically the same thing, the underarm area and the V shape, and I will be leaving the sides. I'll be leaving the sides and the lower part and the shoulders undone. So I'm going to start with the front piece, and if you've seen any of my videos before I'm actually serging, of course you can do this top just only with your normal sew machine using a zigzag stitch, but if you have a serger or an overlocker, I highly recommend it. Also I'll be using a 6mm rubber elastic. This is as well optional, but I highly recommend it for better fit. Sometimes if you don't use any elastic, you might get some like waving in your fabric, as I want to say that that the fabric is being a little bit like overstretched whilst sewing. So I definitely recommend the elastic in case you have it. Even if it's not rubber elastic, you can use braided elastic. It doesn't last as long, but you can also use transparent elastic, perhaps more easier to find. Well, that being said, I'm going to move on to my normal sew machine, and everything I've said about pinning, I'm also doing the bust stitching. So not to make the video extremely long, I'm going to show you what do I mean about bust stitching, and what's the next step. What is the next step after I'm doing bust stitching? So the bust stitch is actually just a long stitch, a stitch with the highest stitch length, and its main use is actually just to secure the two layers of fabric together without sliding before you're applying elastic. It's easier to work over the two layers of fabric and not two layers and the layer of elastic. So you should stitch this stitch as close you can to the edge. And you shall not stretch the fabric at all. Once it's done, what I usually do, I like to make these little cuts into the fabric so it allows stretch. You can either do these little cuts or you can remove it. I would say that removing it's a little bit more time consuming rather than making these cuts into the fabric. Sometimes they can like peek out. Well, I just like pull them off and I remove whatever it's peeking by the end of the project. So that being said, I'm going to continue with my front piece. Like I said, underarms, neck area, the other underarm, and the little cutout, which I'm going to pin it as well. And I will be bust stitching as well the back pieces, like I said, the two underarms areas and the V-shaped part, let's call it like that. And once I'm done, I'll be coming back to show you the next step of how I am adding elastic to my fabric. Like I said, I am showing you just one side on how I add the elastic. All the rest I will be doing it off camera, and I try to make the video quite short, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I did a bust stitching on all my pieces, which I've indicated you earlier, and now I'm going ahead to my serger and I'm going to take one of the back pieces, since it's just like easier to show you the next step, and I'm going to be placing it under my serger foot. And like I said, I'm using a 6mm rubber elastic, and I do have an elastic guide which really simplifies the life on how to attach the elastic. So really the elastic guide is literally just guiding the elastic, so it's not pulling whatsoever. Is really just guiding it. So I'm applying it everywhere where we did the bust stitching. I'm serging and applying elastic. Like I said, if you don't have a serger, you can always use your zigzag stitch on your normal sewing machine. It's as well possible. So I will be continuing with the other sides, but in the same time I want to tell you how I'm going to prepare my elastic band. Like I said before, you do not need to add an elastic band, but it's always better for the support, especially for bigger breasts. And once I've done this, once I've serge the side, right, so now I have a continuous circle, I am taking the lycra band and I'm placing the elastic inside, and I'm pinning starting from the seam. I'm pinning all along, and the same I'm going to do a bust stitch as well for securing the elastic kind of inside, so it's much easier to serge afterwards, everything together. So that I will be doing it off camera. So I'll be pinning all around and bust stitching, and the same I'll continue with my top and with the other side of the back piece. Okay, so I've got my underbust band prepared, and this is my front piece. I've got my two back pieces, and now I'm going to show you how I'm going to introduce them into my main fabric, into my front piece. So I'm going to turn the back pieces, I'm going to turn them on the right side of the fabric. The front piece will stay on so the back piece is on the right side of the fabric, and the front piece on the wrong side. Sorry, it's a lot of words. So yes, as you can see, the front piece stays on the wrong side of the fabric, and the back pieces, I've already turned them on the right side. And first thing I'm going to do, I am going to make a straight stitch. I'm going to show you one side. Please have in mind that the other side is just simply mirrored, right? So I'm going to make a straight stitch over the shoulder, like this. And on purposely, I'm not really cutting the stitches, I'm not cutting them away. And why would be that? They will help me to make sure that I have everything introduced well, right? So please have in mind that you must introduce the back pieces correctly, as of this would be obviously the center of your back. Okay, so I am taking here a safety pin and I will introduce it. Please have in mind that you should have main fabric, matching main fabric, right? So I'm introducing it inside, and with this little stitch, or how you call it, thread ends, I'm making sure that I'm having all my layers out. I'm checking them, and what I do actually, I first do let's call it a safety stitch, right? So it's just simply a straight stitch to make sure that I'm over the 4 layers of fabric, and then I reduce the stitch length and I go once more, and this time I'm going back and forth. And I quite insist, because obviously this is an important part of your top, right? So it's important to make sure you have a safe stitch over. All right, so once I've done the shoulder part, now we'll be doing the side part, and you can see the two lycras are lining, and the two linings are matching together, and I am going to be pinning the center seam, right? And I usually work from this moment around. So I'm doing now again bust stitching. For the shoulder, you do not need to serge it over, you do not need to zigzag stitch it whatsoever. So for the shoulder, just a straight stitch is more than enough. For this side part, I want to say that I am going to use my my serger afterwards, and I make sure here that I'm matching the seam as much as I can. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it's close to perfect, right? I feel like this is the easier way to match the seams together. Let's just check it out. Really close to perfection. My sewing fellows will be very proud. So this part, now I'm going to take it and I'm going to serge it. I do not need adding any elastic, so I just simply go over to my serger and I just serge it. Perfect. So that's one side, and now I'm going to do exactly the same thing for my other side. And once this is done, we'll be turning all the top on the right side of the fabric. Okay, so I've got here the the front piece together with the back piece already together, and now we are going to turn everything on the right side. And since we have this kind of like little little cutout, right, you have to pass it through it and then turn everything on the right side from that moment on. And if you encounter any, let's just say, little threads, just remove them. It's not an issue. I purposely don't cut immediately my my threads. So from this moment, everything looks a little bit weird. But what we are going to do, I am going to be pinning it once again, and I am going to do a bust stitching all over the lower part. This will help me adding the underbust band a little easier, and the fabric will not be moving around when I will be adding the underbust band, which is here prepared for this moment. So yeah, like you already see, I'm pinning all this lower part here, and I go until the cutout hole, right? And the same, be pinning it all along. Once I've pinned it, I'll be back with more. Okay, so I've bust stitched everything, and I'm going to actually turn the top on the right side so you can actually see what is actually looking like, right? So you can see the front piece together with the back piece in separate. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to choose this, is definitely better. I'm going to be placing the underbust band over my top, right? It's easier to visualize it this way, right? In this moment, I'm turning it upside down, right? I'm going to start pinning it on one side, starting the seam over here, and I'm going all the way to the hole and back. All right, back to the back piece. Please have in mind that your underbust band is slightly smaller than the top, so you will be slightly pulling the underbust band when you're sewing, right? And here there is a little trick, right? You have this little hole, right? Obviously you see it can enlarge like this, right? Immensely, but I want to say that from the back piece, leave quite like a centimeter's distance, just a little bit, right? I leave a centimeter distance. It's easier to explain it this way, right? And I'm pinning all the way back whilst I'm stretching tiny bit the fabric, the underbust band. I'm stretching it a little bit. Right, and I'm back to the front, and you will be noticing that suddenly the front is like very small. Well, it should be, because when it's stretched, when worn, you see what is happening is like getting the proper way, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to my normal sew machine, and I am going to do first a bust stitching, because there are many layers going over, and I feel like serging perhaps will not be as perfect. And what I'm doing in this moment, I'm slightly pulling like this the fabric of the underbust band. I'm tiny bit pulling it, right? Not too much. And because I don't want to take my foot off of my fabric of my sewing, I'm just doing continuously a straight stitch, right? And I just try to remember where about the hole is coming, right? And here in this part, I'm not pulling the fabric, the underbust band. I'm not pulling it. I just simply stitch over, and whoops, and here I am pulling it a little bit again. Not too much, just to make sure that it's fitting perfectly in the end. So the final idea is that when is stitched, right, the underbust band is fitting perfectly your top. All right. Yeah, so pinning a lot might mean that you might be pinching quite a lot of times. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to make these little cuts into my band, right? And once I've made the little cuts, I'm going to my serger and I'm going to serge, and then I'm going to show you how I top stitch it, because obviously otherwise you will have the ugly seam over here. So you can see already that the hole is like quite close. Like I said, when it's worn, it will automatically stretch, but in order to avoid this waving which could happen, you have to make sure that you're practically placing the band. I want to say, you see a finger in the back, and then it will automatically make the hole a little bit smaller. Okay, so I am here with the last step to do, and this is doing the top stitch for the underbust band, and I'm going to start just a little bit before the seam. So what I do, actually, I take this seam and I kind of like guide it towards the band, right? So I am placing it under, and all the time I want to say that I am feeling with one finger the seam from underneath. So I make sure that the seam is always coming under. And you will understand in a second why. So you see, because I'm guiding the band, the seam under will be hiding it, so it's not visual afterwards. So I am practically hiding it. So when we are wearing the top, the seam will not be visible. This is the whole idea. And like I said, if you do not have a cover stitch, you can perfectly do this step with your zigzag stitch with your normal sew machine. I used to do it. I even did it, I think, in a few videos of me to show you that obviously it's possible and it's not that difficult. And like I said also before, The elastic, it's actually optional, so you can either choose to add it or not. But I want to say, like, you should also know your sewing machine, whether it would handle stitching over fabric layers with elastic or not. So here it is. This is my new sports top. I really love it. I hope you like it as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to write me, to ask me. I'm more than happy to help you. And if not, I wish you happy sewing.